literally have no idea how to freaking start this. Ah! Welcome back after an extremely long hiatus. If you are new here, my name is Bree and I post pre-law, post-grad, law school applications, literally all my life. My YouTube is low-key like my secret diary that is not so secretive. But if you're not new here, then you know that this is one of my first videos after like 5 months of not posting. There will only be one other video before this one goes up, so you get the idea. This being said, it's definitely been a fat minute since I've sat down and like actually even remotely talked to a camera like this. So I already feel like I'm a little like extra on edge compared to normal. I definitely want this video to be a little bit more like personal, like sit down, chat with you guys style instead of like what I normally do. This past summer has brought a lot of change and growth and just self-development. My life just was lacking balance for such a long time. If you didn't know, I did go through a breakup at the beginning of the summer. I've also been studying for the LSAT. I've been working on my law school applications. I've just been extremely busy. And I think throughout all this, it was kind of hard to really tune into who I am as a person and like my core values. And I feel like that was also always shifting, if that makes any sense. And I feel like this is like an era of like starting over, rebirth, growth. Like just, I don't even know like the proper word to fully properly describe it, but I feel like everyone's kind of gone through this at some point in their life. But it happens right after you hit that midlife crisis, like in your mid-20s, even though you're not at your midlife point yet. So like quarter life crisis, I don't know. And if you go back and watch some of my previous videos from like 5, 6, 7 months ago, I talk a lot about how I feel like I'm stuck in this rut. I'm in this awkward in-between stage of my life. I don't really know what's going on. And I feel like just looking back at those videos and self-reflecting, I can see that I had no idea who I was as a person. And then I went through my breakup and that literally solidified that I didn't know who I was as a person. That being said, the breakup was entirely on my part. I wish that person nothing but the best, and I have nothing but love and respect for that person still to this day. But at least from my perspective, I knew that we did not want the same things. And although it was my doing, I literally had to relearn who I was. But I definitely was not coping properly. I was just really struggling a lot mentally. I definitely was doing things that I probably shouldn't have been doing and like talking to people I probably shouldn't have been talking to either. And it kind of just became this routine of like avoiding everything I had to worry about. And it wasn't even like in a love life perspective. It was just like my entire life. I was really not locked in when it came to like my law school stuff, my LSAT, just like my overall well-being. I was just not taking care of myself at all. But then after a while, it just kind of clicked. Like I did not like who I was. I didn't like the things I was doing. I didn't like how I was treating other people. I definitely did not like how I was treating myself. And it's so hard to finally accept that point. Like I think mid-August was really my breaking point when I was just like, what am I doing with my life? I had spent over 6 weeks in Indiana just spending time with my family and friends. And that definitely was a lot of growth and a lot of self-development. But also at the same time, I was so far away from home and I was not locked in on anything that I needed to be doing, and I used being away as an excuse instead of like actually sitting down with my thoughts. But then mid-August when I finally got back home, it really clicked that I was just not doing well. And I think when you finally sit with your problems and like sit with that sadness is when you really start to experience the growth because you're accepting it. And it's definitely one of those like fake it till you make it situations. Like you have to pretend you're okay to like slowly become okay. I literally had to lock in on the LSAT. Like I was taking the LSAT in October and we're in August. So I'm literally like crying 1 minute because I can't do reading comprehension and then crying another minute because I'm literally so sad. Once I finally got home and I was able to like lock in, I really use the LSAT as a form of direction and structure, which kind of sounds stupid, but also there were days where I woke up and I literally did not know what I was doing with my life, but I knew I had to study that day. And as much as I hate studying sometimes, at least I knew I had a purpose that day. Okay, but kind of going back, in all honesty, I think a lot of people glamorize this idea of discipline and being locked in and being that girl and just having your shit together. But in reality, it's only like 50% true. Okay, that's probably inaccurate, but I'm not gonna lie and say that I don't do my makeup before I film, that I take weeks or months off of filming at a time, that I'm always so locked in, that I'm always so motivated, that I'm always so disciplined, because I'm not. And if I was, I would be perfect, but I'm literally not. But I think realistically, discipline is showing up when you don't want to. And that doesn't mean doing it all the time. It just means pushing yourself more than you feel capable of, but also being proud of yourself when you know when to take a break. And I think that was something that was really hard for me, knowing when I was burnt out and when I was just being lazy. And I think a really big thing with starting over is just knowing to listen to yourself, to listen to your body, and just consistently and constantly choosing yourself, choosing to better yourself, choosing to better your mental health, your physical health, etc., etc. And also just constantly reminding myself that I am so capable. If I was having a rough day, I would just journal, or I would go on a walk, or I would go treat myself to a little Dunkin', or like something that was gonna give me that dopamine hit that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. But with time, the more I kept pushing myself and like pushing forward, and also allowing myself to sit and like marinate in these sad feelings and these sad thoughts, you know, whatever, that was when I saw the most growth in myself. And I think this truly shifted my mindset. People are so scared of the idea of starting over, starting something new, whether that be moving to a new city, starting a new relationship, starting a new career, etc. You feel like maybe you're bearing this past version of yourself or this past version of your life, but I don't necessarily agree with that, because the past you is always going to exist. And I think instead of hating who we used to be, we kind of have to use that as fuel to the flame, or like whatever the saying is, I guess, because without who we used to be and without this past version, we wouldn't be who we are now. And this past version of our lives also follows us into the future, no matter how badly we don't want to admit that. But let's say we don't like who we used to be. You're just going to use this past knowledge to push yourself into a new direction. Okay, I guess my camera is like refusing to cooperate. It kept overheating and it was driving me crazy, so I just got lunch and then I came home. But I think I'm almost done rambling, so hopefully we don't have any more issues. I don't really know. We'll see. I keep forgetting where I left off on. I do have some bullet points on my phone, which is why I keep looking at my phone. But basically, I feel like every single low point in our life, whether that be like poor grades, family issues, relationship issues, etc., a lot of these things are moments that we feel like we can't overcome, but then in the long run, we always do overcome them. And I think that's just a reminder of how strong we really are. I think we definitely should be more graceful with ourselves, and also be proud of ourselves for wanting to try things again and for wanting to proceed and continue on, even when it feels hard. The biggest reason why we push ourselves so hard is because we want a life that we deserve and not just one that feels easy, I guess. Right now, I feel like I'm in that rebuilding phase of my life. I'm experiencing this growth. I'm pushing myself to do things that I wouldn't normally do, pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. And I'm definitely not completely there yet. Like there's a lot of days where I still struggle, where it's hard to do things and I just simply lack motivation. But I am honestly okay with that, because I think that's just normal. I think that's what makes us most human, is not having our lives figured out yet. But I'm grateful to be spending more time with myself and with my family and friends and figuring out where my values and morals truly lie. And I'm just trying to romanticize and enjoy the process of life. But this being said, I am truly so proud of myself, simply because I allowed myself and like accepted the fact that I was not okay, and I was able to pick myself back up and still go on. This was definitely long-winded, and I feel like a lot of it didn't really make sense, but it's still definitely nice to just get my feelings and opinions just out there somewhere on the internet where everyone can watch and judge me. But that's kind of why I took a little hiatus off social media. My YouTube was literally bone dry. My TikTok, I was posting probably once every few weeks until more recently. But if you are also experiencing this starting over process, or you're just feeling a little bit lost, I want you to use this as your reminder that you will get there eventually. You don't have to have everything figured out right now, and that life will get better and it will make sense with time. Trust me, you are not lost, you are just rebuilding. But if you are still here watching me ramble on and on and on, thank you so much. I know it can definitely be a lot, but I promise I will be more consistent going forward, and I will be sure to see you guys in the next one.